Not the least intimidated, Pilgrim allowed the old man to hit his bald head 7 or 8 times without a flinch. It was as if someone were scratching an itch for him. "This is a priest with a collision-proof head," said the old man. "Venerable sir," said Pilgrim, chuckling. "You can hit me all you want. But you'd better remember the number of blows you give me. 1 blow will cost you 1 pint of rice. You can take your time and measure it." On hearing this, the old man quickly dropped his staff and ran inside. He slammed the door shut, yelling, "A ghost! A ghost!" The entire household was so terrified that both the front and the back doors were at once tightly bolted. When Pilgrim saw that the doors were shut, he thought to himself, "This old rogue said that they had just washed the rice and placed it in the cauldron. I wonder if he was telling the truth." As the proverb says, the Taoists beg from the worthies, but the Buddhists from the fools. Let old monkey go in and take a look. Dear great sage. He made the magic sign with his fingers and used the magic of invisibility to walk straight into the kitchen. Steam was indeed rising from the cauldron, for there was inside it half a cauldron of dried rice. He stuffed the alms bowl into the cauldron and gave it a strong scoop to fill the alms bowl with rice. He then mounted the clouds to go back to his master, and we shall not speak of him for the moment. We tell you now instead about the Tang monk sitting in the circle. He waited for a long time without seeing Pilgrim returning. Half rising, he said dejectedly, "Where did that ape go to beg for food?" "Who knows?" said 8 Rules on one side, snickering. "He must have gone somewhere to play around. You think he's going to beg for food? He just wants us imprisoned here." "What do you mean by imprisoned?" asked Tripitaka. "Don't you know, master?" said 8 Rules. "The ancients drew on the ground to establish a jail. That's what he did. He drew a circle with his rod, and he claimed that it was stronger than a wall of iron. But if some tigers or ferocious beasts really showed up, how could this circle protect us? We might as well give ourselves to them for food." "Wuneng?" said Tripitaka. "What do you propose to do?" 8 Rules said. "This place can't shelter us from the wind or the cold. If you agree with Old Hog, we should follow this road and start out toward the west once more. If Elder Brother manages to get some food, he will no doubt return quickly, riding on his cloud. He should have no difficulty catching up with us, and when there is food, we can stop and eat first before we move on. Sitting here all this time will only make our feet grow cold." It was the bad luck of Tripitaka to have heard these words. He agreed with Idiot, and all of them walked out of the circle. 8 Rules led the horse, while Sha Monk pulled the luggage. The elder did not even climb on the horse. Following the road, he walked right up to the towered building, and found that it was an edifice facing south. Outside the door was a brick wall painted white with corners like the word 8, which connected with a small towered gate decorated with carvings of lovebirds hung upside down and painted with 5 colors. The door of the building was half closed. 8 Rules tied the horse to one of the stoneware door wedges, and Sha Monk put down his pole. As he was sensitive to the cold wind, Tripitaka sat on the threshold. "Master," said 8 Rules, "this must be the residence of a noble man or an official. If we can't see anyone near the front door, all the inhabitants must be inside warming themselves by the fire. You two sit here, and let me go inside to take a look." "Take care," said the Tang monk. "Don't offend people." Idiot said, "I know. Since I was converted and entered the gate of Chan, I have acquired some manners. I'm not like one of those village fools." Tying the muckrake to his waist, Idiot straightened out his blue silk shirt and walked inside in a civil manner. He saw 3 large front halls with all the curtains drawn up. The whole place was quiet and without a trace of any human inhabitant. There were neither furniture nor utensils. Passing the screens, he walked further inside and came upon a long corridor, behind which was a tall, 2-story building. The windows on top were half opened, and one could see parts of a set of yellow silk curtains in the room. The people must be afraid of the cold. said Idiot to himself. They are still sleeping. With no regard for manners, Idiot strode right up to the second story of the building. When he drew the curtains apart to take a look, he was so startled that he stumbled and fell. Inside the curtains, you see, and lying on top of an ivory bed was a skeleton of sickly white. The skull was big as a jar, and the leg bones, straight as poles, were about 4 or 5 feet long. After he had calmed down, Idiot could not restrain the tears rolling down his cheeks. Shaking his head and sighing, he said to the skeleton, "I wonder you are. The remains of a marshal of which nation? Or of which domain or state, a great general? Once you were a hero striving to win. Today, how piteously you show your bones. Your children and wife aren't here to serve you. No soldiers burn incense to honor you. You are truly most lamentable a sight. You, who used to seek rule by might or right." As Eight Rules thus lamented, he suddenly saw a flare of light behind the curtains. "Someone must be here after all to offer incense to him," said Idiot. He went behind the curtains hurriedly to look and found that rays of light were coming through some screens set up in a side room. Behind the screens was a lacquered table, on which there were several garments made of embroidered silk brocade. When Idiot picked them up, he saw that they were 3 silk vests. Without regard for good or ill, he took the vests and came down the building. He went back through the front halls to walk out the door. "Master," he said, "there's no trace of anyone living inside. It's in fact a residence of the deceased." Old Hog went inside and walked upstairs to the tall tower, where there was a skeleton inside some yellow silk curtains. In a side room there were 3 silk vests, which I've brought with me. This has to be our luck, at least a little of it. Since it's turning cold now, we can make good use of them. Master, take off your outer garment and put on one of those vests. Enjoy, so you won't feel the cold so much." "No, no," said Tripitaka. "For the code book says to take things, whether in open or in secret, is thievery. If someone found out and caught up with us, the officials would undoubtedly charge us with the crime of theft. Take them back and put them at the place you found them. We can sit here for a while to escape from the wind, and when Wukong arrives, we'll move on. Those of us who have left the family should not be so covetous of small gains." Eight Rules said. "There's not a single person around, even dogs or chickens are unaware of our presence. Only we know what we have done. Who will file charges against me? Who will be a witness? It was as if I had picked up these vests from the road." "What do you mean by taking in open or in secret? You act foolishly," said Tripitaka. "Though man may not know it, will heaven be ignorant of it? Shandi left this instruction. He may conscience slyly despise. But like lightning are the gods' eyes. Return them quickly. Don't be greedy for things which do not belong to you." Idiot, of course, refused to listen. Laughing, he said to the Tang monk, "Oh master, since I became a human, I have worn several vests, but none made with such lovely brocade. If you won't want to put it on, let Old Hog put it on. I'm going to try something new, and I want to warm my back a bit. When elder brother arrives, I'll take it off and we'll move on. If that's the way you put it," said Sha monk. "I'll try one, too." The two of them took off their shirts and put on the vests. They were just trying to tighten the straps when all of a sudden they could no longer stand up and tumbled to the ground. The vests, you see, somehow turned out to be like 2 straitjackets. In an instant, the two of them had their arms twisted backwards and firmly bound behind their backs. Tripitaka was so taken aback that he stamped his feet and chided them. He then went forward to try to untie them, but it was all to no avail. As the 3 of them made continuous clamor over there, a demon was soon alerted. That towered building, you see, had indeed been devised by a monster spirit who had spent the days ensnaring people at the place. As he sat in his own cave, he suddenly heard noises of complaint and expostulation. When he hurried out to have a look, he found 2 victims all tied up. The demon called up his little imps quickly and did away with the buildings and towers. The Tang monk was seized, along with the white horse and the luggage. Then they herded all of them, including 8 rules and Sha monk, into the cave. After the old demon took his seat high in the middle, the little fiends pushed the Tang monk forward and forced him to kneel down. "Where did you come from, monk?" asked the old demon. "How dare you be so bold as to steal my garments?" As tears rolled down, the Tang monk said, "This poor monk is someone sent by the great Tang in the land of the East to acquire scriptures in the Western heaven. Stricken with hunger just now, I told my senior disciple to go to beg for food and he hasn't returned. He told us to remain seated in the mountain, and if we had listened to him, we would not have trespassed your immortal court to find shelter from the cold wind. It was here that these 2 young disciples of mine grew covetous of small things after they found your clothes. Your poor monk certainly had no evil intentions, and they were told to return the vests to where they were found. Refusing to listen to me, they wanted to wear them just to warm their backs, and that was how they fell into the traps set by the great king.